Good evening, I'm Pallavi Ghosh. But before we are going to go on and discuss the politics over the partition, here's some news which is coming in from Maharashtra, which is equally explosive. Well, the new Maharashtra government is set to bring an order which is likely to stir a huge controversy. The Maharashtra Minister for Culture, Sudhir Mungattiwar, has now said that all government employees will now have to greet by saying Vande Mataram instead of hello. Let's listen in to him first, and then I'm going to go across to my colleague Vinaya Deshpande.
आपने जैसे ही आपका पोर्टफोलियो आपको थमाया गया है, आपने पहला डिसीजन ले लिया है। CNN न्यूज़ 18 के दर्शकों को बताइए कि आपने क्या डिसीजन लिया है।
ये अमृत महोत्सवी वर्ष है। अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ जब हमारी आजादी की जंग शुरू थी, आजादी के जंग में हाथ में तिरंगा, ओठों पे वंदे मातरम ये शब्द थे। अंग्रेज गोलियों पे गोली चलाते रहे, मगर हमारे देशभक्त, हमारे राष्ट्रभक्त, हमारे शहीदों के ओठों पे वंदे मातरम ये ऊर्जा देने वाला गीत था, देशभक्ति का गीत था। वंदे मातरम हम इस देश को नमन करते हैं, प्रणाम करते हैं। हमने ये निर्णय किया है कि सांस्कृतिक विभाग के माध्यम से अभी इसके आगे जो परिपत्रक शासन का निकलेगा 18 तारीख के आसपास, इसके पहले चरण में सभी शासकीय कार्यालयों में जो हमारे ट्रेजरी से सैलरी लेते हैं, पगार लेते हैं, वहां पे हेलो नहीं, अब वंदे मातरम से संवाद की शुरुआत होगी। वंदे मातरम अमृत महोत्सवी वर्ष में अभियान के रूप में हमने तय किया है। अमृत महोत्सवी वर्ष है, हमने कुछ बदलाव करना चाहिए। अंग्रेज तो चले गए, कुछ शब्द हमारे लिए छोड़ गए। अब धीरे धीरे शताब्दी तक अंग्रेजों के कुछ शब्द जो आवश्यक नहीं है, वो शब्दों को भी भुलाकर हमारे देशभक्ति को जगाने वाले, राष्ट्रभक्ति की चेतना निर्माण करने वाले शब्दों को आगे बढ़ाने का हमारा कर्तव्य है। जो शब्द हमारे लिए कोई आवश्यक नहीं है, उसे भूल जाने में कतई कोई अड़चन नहीं है।
And Vinaya, in fact, who did speak to him exclusively, is also joining us now. Vinaya, as you correctly said, it's going to blow up a huge storm. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, who could want to object to a Vande Mataram being the greeting?
Well, Pallavi, right now, though the government says that this is an order which will be passed on 18th of August and it will be applicable to the state government employees alone, we are also learning that this is something for which the government is trying to rope in the college students as well. So Sudhir Mungattiwar, while speaking to CNN News 18, also said that the effort was to make sure that there was an outreach program for the college students, for the youth, in order to get associated with this. In fact, he said that, some legacies of the Britishers need to be forgotten in the coming 25 years as well. Something that is likely to stir a controversy in Maharashtra in the coming days. Sudhir Mungattiwar, after taking charge as the cultural minister, this is his first decision. He says it will be implemented from tomorrow itself in the state of Maharashtra, though the official orders for this will be passed on the 18th of August. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Vinaya. So let's see what kind of reaction really comes up to this latest order. Well, we're shifting focus back to the national capital, where India is going to be celebrating its 75th year of independence, and there are big plans. In fact, there are going to be many big firsts. It's a mega event which is being planned by the central government. Very quickly, some of them are homegrown howitzer gun. ATAGS is going to be used in the ceremonial 21 gun salute. 21 and 26 officers, supervisors, 27 cadets, youths from 14 different countries are also going to make their maiden entry. There are also going to be special invitations which have been handed out to Anganwadi workers, street vendors, Mudra scheme borrowers, as well as the mortuary workers. Maria is getting us all these details. Maria, Atmanirbhar Bharat, our own culture, and India rises high. Clearly, that's going to be the messaging tomorrow. But these specifics that we've put out, what is it that the government wants to convey?
Yes, but this is a special occasion where India is celebrating its 75th Independence Day.
पीड़ा में जो लोग शहीद हुए, घर बार छोड़कर भागना पड़ा, जहां 75 साल पूरा होने का हमें गर्व है, वहीं एक पीड़ा भी है ना।
उन्होंने अध्यक्षता किया उस समय उन्होंने कहा कि 2 राष्ट्र का उन्होंने स्वीकार किया और वहीं मोहम्मद जिन्ना ने उसे 1937 में उसको स्वीकार किया। तो 2 राष्ट्र के जो सिद्धांत है उसको सावरकर ने प्रस्तावित किया और उसका समर्थन जिन्ना ने किया।
Okay, so that's the big debate this evening that we are going to be discussing, is that who's exactly politicizing the partition of India. That is something which has upset all the sides, and that's been documented in history. But before we discuss that, let's take a look at how the narrative has moved on through the day with the BJP as well as the Congress party. Now, according to the BJP, their allegation against Jawaharlal Nehru and the Congress party is that it drew the border between people in just 3 weeks, which means, according to them, it was moved hurriedly. The Congress party countered this by saying that it was Savarkar who floated the two-nation theory along with Jinnah, and therefore the two of them are same. Then the BJP says that the top leadership is a true parent of Pakistan. Again, the insinuation is that no thought was given to a symbolism or the emotions of the people while drawing the boundaries. The BJP needs a real education on partition is the Congress's counter to it. And then, of course, the BJP says that the sole responsibility for the partition horrors actually falls on both Jawaharlal Nehru and the Congress party. And the Congress says the PM is merely using 14th August and today's day as Partition Horrors Day for his current political battles, and therefore it's the BJP which is politicizing that horrific day. The BJP's strong attack against the Congress party is that they're ready to give away the whole of Bengal, which is what their accusation against the Congress and Jawaharlal Nehru, that they were ready to give away entire Bengal and therefore compromise on India's integrity. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee championed the partition of Bengal is the counter which comes in from the Congress party. So these are the two sides which we have been seeing, and that's exactly what we are going to be discussing now. Joining me shortly will be the BJP MP as well as national spokesperson Aparajita Sarangi, Dr. Anshul Avijit, spokesperson of the Congress party, Dr. Geeta Bhatt, also academician, Professor Kapil Kumar, who's going to put into perspective the entire debate over this partition. So thank you so much for joining me. The first point I'm going to actually take across to Anshul. Anshul, we also heard what Bhupesh Baghel, your Chhattisgarh Chief Minister, had to say a short while back, comparing Savarkar with Jinnah. Is that the right thing to say?
No, I think what the BJP has done right now is always turn this into some kind of a civilizational battle. So even the, Partition Horror Remembrance Day is completely loaded with politics. I mean, there is no other reason except political to call this the horrors of partition. Why would they need to do that at a time like this? It's neither respectful nor commemorative. We have often said that the BJP believes in politics, that it does nothing apart from politics. I mean, that sounds absolutely true. The reason for remembering partition is not because you want some sort of catharsis or healing or resolution of anything, but that you want to turn it into a deeply political and a civilizational battle, and a process that has been going on for the last 8 years. For tell me now, what is the purpose of having, this kind of Remembrance Day after 7 years? I mean, there has been an incremental increase in your debate about Hindu Muslims, about this presumed enmity, which you want to continue and flog year after year by having such kind of debates. Now, I'm not saying that the partition should not be memorialized, but there is a purpose to memorializing partition. If it helps you confront trauma, every decent psychoanalyst will tell you that confronting trauma should put an end to demise of trauma, not to further it more. The purpose of the BJP is to further the trauma, is to further the divide, and therefore to kind of heighten these feelings that have been continuing over a period of time. This is their purpose. This is their motive. Also, why partition was there, the number of reasons why it's a complex debate. I mean, historians have given you a number of reasons. I've spent years in university discussing with my professors the reasons for partition. It's unresolvable. the debates continue. There are a number of ideas that have been floated. There are instrumentalist ideas. There are orientalist ideas based on religion. There have been psychoanalytical ideas about fraternal enemies and violence that caused it. There have also been ideas about the British and how they needed to cause a Hindu-Muslim divide, in order to administer India better. There have been a number of bargaining chip ideas about how Jinnah used partition as a bargaining chip. We know all these debates, but the purpose of this at the moment is simply a political, deeply divisive purpose, and therefore you have it. I don't think it's catharsis. The BJP does not do anything without it. So they started it. They start the debate. This is to apportion blame. This is to apportion blame on the Congress party, and we have to reply, because the entire Hindu-Muslim divide actually was caused by the RSS and their members. How many of them went to jail?
So at this point, I really want to get in a BJP voice. Aparajita, most of us have either someone in the family or in touch with someone who actually gone and felt the horrors of partition. It's something which was horrific. It is something which was not about Hindus or Muslims. It was just something which our country went through at that point of time. Today, as we celebrate 75 years of independence, does one even need to talk about the horror as a political tool, because that's unfortunately what it's also become? And does one really need to attack a former prime minister of a country and put the entire blame on him?
A very good evening.
Good evening.
I must say that there are certain things which should be above politics, and let us refrain from seeing politics everywhere. Whatever actions that are being taken by the Prime Minister and his team does not mean that we intend to indulge in politics. Now here, we are trying to remember, when about 60 lakh people from Pakistan had come to India, and around 65 lakh people from areas of Delhi. And again, about 20 lakh people from the current Bangladesh had come to West Bengal. And about 5 to 10 lakh people had been killed. Now, the Vibhishika of partition must be brought to the knowledge of those who were born after partition. It is not wrong to know the history. The truth of history must be placed before everybody. And we want a generation which actually understands and appreciates the history. Now, for that matter, if our leaders, if our party, and if our Prime Minister have been emphasizing on celebrating, or rather I would not say celebrating, but remembering 14th August as the Partition Horror Day, I think there's nothing wrong in it. The fact remains that the partition could have been avoided. Now, with all emphasis, I would like to say that. And for 2 full days, I would like to mention here that for 2 full days, nobody knew where was that line of partition. Only Cyril Radcliffe knew, Nehruji knew, and Jinnah knew. And if you go through the pages of history, if you are absolutely non-partisan in your approach, not from the point of view of Congress or BJP, as an Indian, if you read the history, you will realize that both these leaders, with all regards for these 2 leaders, Nehru and Jinnah, they wanted to assume power in the respective countries. They would have negotiated with the British. British, of course, wanted to divide us. That was their policy, the basic policy. British wanted to divide us, but it was in the hands of Nehru and Jinnah to negotiate with them and go for some other kind of path.
Okay.
And these 2 leaders actually, and Cyril Radcliffe, who was the man who actually drew the line of partition. Okay. And for 2 full days, people did not know where were they heading to, whether this part of the line or that side of the line. It was so very unfortunate.
Which is where I'm coming back. Do we need to...
drawing of the line had been kept as a secret.
Okay, fair enough. Aparajita, I'm just going to go to... I'll just come back to you. I'll just come back. See, we have 2 other guests. It's a little unfair, if I don't go to them. I'm just going to come back to both of you.
Sure.
Dr. Geeta Bhatt, the point which Anshul was making at the beginning of the debate, and because I find that interesting and also very pertinent, that it remains a grey area. The whole idea of partition of India perhaps has not been defined or evolved completely. Do you think that's the reason Why today, when we should be celebrating 75 years of independence, 75 years later, we are still trying to figure out what went wrong or did something go wrong during the partition of India?
Pallavi definitely, the 75th Independence Day has a very special meaning for each one of us Indians. But at the same time, we all are aware partially of many things which happened in history. And we do know that this also is a reality, that more than 10 lakh square kilometers of our nation, we lost it just a day before, before independence, when Pakistan was created. And we do know that the division of this nation, it happened because there was a certain section of people who refused to be part of a secular society and asked that it is based on their religious identity that they needed to live separately. And also at the same time, those who were in a position to negotiate and talk to the British and who could have averted it, who could have looked for means to avert it at that time. And there were many such possibilities. And that is what is something that is discussed or that needs to come out in light, that needs to come out. And people of this country must know actually what happened, because there are many such aspects of the history that have been hidden for too long, whether it is from the the syllabus of the schools or of the academic syllabus of the universities. So it is important to understand that we need to, all Indians, we need to be united at least on this issue, that the partition of this country was something which is very unfortunate, and we need to remember it so that these kind of this utter mistakes which happened, they are not repeated in future.
Okay, so you call it a mistake.
Which is very
you call it a mistake. So I want to get in a word from Professor Kapil Kumar. Professor, I mean, what really was the truth? I mean, is there any way of finding out? Because I also find your designation very interesting. You're also Director of Center for Freedom Struggle and Diaspora Studies of IGNOU. So I guess you've done a lot of research in this. Was it a mistake? I mean, could things have been different? Or were we left with no choice, that there was this whole time pressure on us and that we had to do it the way it was done?
Pallavi, it was not a mistake. Let me tell you very clearly. Because facts of history can't be changed. I am sorry to say that when I hear politicians speaking on partition, I feel very sad. I feel very sad. If I start giving the facts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would like to see how the political representatives react. Number one, Gandhi said partition will be over my dead body. Why did he change? Aruna Asaf Ali wrote to Gandhi, whole country is against Pakistan, the people. Why don't you lead a movement against Pakistan? Gandhi says, Hindus and Muslims have joined hands on barricades. And Aruna Asaf Ali writes, they can join hands only on barricades. And they tell Badshah Ghaffar Khan, Pakistan is a reality, go and support Jinnah. That Badshah Ghaffar Khan who says, if an East Pakistan can be made, why not a West India? Or give us independence. And he spent his life in jails over there. One, Punjab was to be divided. There was a vote to be taken for Punjab. Congress said, boycott this vote. We will not let these areas go to Pakistan. And the entire Hindu community there and Congress supporters boycotted the poll. And the entire Punjab went to Pakistan on a voting percentage of 2.5% only. Let the Congress representative check this. Then what have they say to at least minutes in which this decision is taken in May 47? Please go to the website and ask for at least minutes. What is minuted in that, in the cabinet meeting? It says, now the Congress leaders are saying independence for India can wait for 2-3 years if dominion status is given and power is transferred immediately. This has made our task easy. Now we can make a Hindu dominion and a Muslim dominion. And all those who have fooled the country for so many years that India became independent that day, India became a dominion. And I give you 3 more evidences, okay. Then I will leave to others and answer again. Number 1, King George VI, the Emperor of England, abdicated the throne of India on 22nd June 1948. Please check the London Gazette. Number 2, 1st April 1948, Nehru's letter to King George VI. I, the Prime Minister of your Indian Dominion, on behalf on your Cabinet of Indian Dominion, request you to permit us to appoint Rajgopalachari as the second Governor General of India. Number 3, after these two, number 3, which country in the world will make the last representative of those rulers who for 170 years massacred us, tortured us as their first Governor General? Next, last I am saying, and then they can go on debating.
Please. Because I'm really running out of time. I want to.
On 15th August, the Union Jack didn't go down in Mountbatten's lodge. Mountbatten himself has written. It was, listen please 1 minute. The facts are these.
Sir, I have to, if you don't mind, I'm really running out of time. I want to give the quick last words to both Anshul as well as to Aparajita. Anshul, I don't think we should rewrite history, but somewhere down the line, very quickly, because I want a word also to form Aparajita, very quickly, Anshul, do you think with this kind of a controversy, the Congress party's nationalism is being put to test once again?
No, it was never put to test. Why? Just because the BJP is insistent on putting it to test doesn't mean that it is. We don't have anything to answer for. We are the party actually when it was formed until the time of independence and beyond till now, it has worked for the service of this country. In fact, the partition, you know, I'm not going to be immodest here, was substantially due to the Congress party and its leadership who went to jail for it. The RSS has no single leader that actually went to jail for partition. And you know, this nooks and crannies of partition, you know, this letter, that letter, the partition, as I have studied it, and he's wrong to presume that there are no historians and politicians cannot be historians. Perhaps you should look at, you know, my resume. But nonetheless, I am telling you that this is an unresolvable fact about who caused it. It cannot be resolved. There are a number of theories. The only facts that I know is that at the moment, to call it a horror remembrance day is an invocation of violence. So the name itself, horror, is an invocation of violence and an invitation to hatred. There is nothing commemorative about
Anshul, I'm just going to give the last reaction to Aparajita. Aparajita, the point which Anshul is making is you want to remember it, but why do you want to call it a day of horror?
It was horror, terrible horror, wish we had been spared of that pain of partition. Imagine, I gave the figures of death, I gave the figures of people who were displaced. And selfish interests of Congress and Muslim League led to partition. And I can say with all conviction at my command that had Nehruji and Jinnah acted sensibly and without their selfish interests in front, I think partition could have been avoided. This was something which was avoidable, but in fact these leaders, because they wanted to assume power in the respective countries, they wanted to go for partition.
Thank you. I'm really running out of time. I'm sorry to cut you short. Thank you very much, Aparajita, Anshul also, Dr. Geeta Bhatt and also Professor Kapil Kumar. Thank you very much. Endless debate. There will be no closure to it, but tomorrow is 75th India's Independence Day. That's all we have time for. Wishing all of you a very happy Independence Day. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.